The province of Ontario announced today that, as expected, the rest of the school year will not take place, at least not in the physical classrooms. Joining me now with the latest provincially is our Member of Provincial Parliament, Jim McDonell. Welcome back, Jim.
Good afternoon.
All right, so let's start with the announcement today that, again, not a huge surprise, but the rest of the school year has been canceled, at least in terms of the classroom.
Well, we were holding out some hope that we'd get the children back at least for a week or two, just to give them some sense of normalcy for the rest of the summer. But looking around some of the different jurisdictions around the world and in Canada that opened up early, and they saw the spike that we just thought was a risk to the children that we didn't want to accept.
No, and it's certainly all about safety. Now, virtual education will continue, so maybe we can elaborate a little bit on that, how that will continue going forward.
Well, of course, we'll be looking at extending our virtual classrooms into the summer with some virtual lessons, and some, of course, some of our uh, um, programs that we've had before that are there, looking at to give students a chance to upgrade their classwork, so that we're ready to go in September. We're fully expecting that, although it may not be business as usual in September, that we'll be back, and students will be back enjoying that education that we've experienced for generations.
And we know as well that there will be preparations for September because, as you just alluded to, while the expectation is that students will return to the classroom, it probably won't look exactly the same as it did before this crisis.
No, not entirely. And the minister, Stephen Lecce, had mentioned that they will give full, I guess, guidance on where they're going in September before the end of June.
Excellent. Now, one thing we know that unfortunately a lot of students that are at that graduating age are going to miss out on their graduation ceremonies, and we know that the proms have been canceled. But at the very least, the diplomas are guaranteed. The premier did reiterate that all students will be able to graduate if that's their wish.
Absolutely, and of course, even as far as those major events, we're hoping the minister had identified last week that they're hoping that later on in the summer or early fall that some of these these events, such as graduation, could occur. I know in the past when I graduated, they were held on the Thanksgiving weekend. Um, it's only been the last 15 years or so they've been moved to the springtime, so it's we'll see. And just a few years ago, some of the schools in our region, at Seaway as an example, held their graduations in September and only moved those a couple of years ago. So it is a big event. It is something that brings students together. So if at all possible, we'd like to see them happen. The Upper Canada School Board is talking about next June. We'll wait to see it. And really, it's a matter of seeing how this progresses. They're working hard on a vaccine that likely won't be available for the immediate future, but certainly is they're working on and hoping to have some good success the next little while. Lots happening. We're looking around the world. Technology is improving greatly. Faster testing. More experiences tell us just what will work and what won't work.
And we'll certainly keep an eye on all of that very, very closely. And just to finish off MPP, we know that we also heard today that camps, overnight camps, are probably not going to happen, or most likely not going to happen. But hopefully in July and August, there will be some day camps available just to keep kids having some sort of activity during the summer months.
Yeah, absolutely. The day camps will be open. I know we also had a call this morning looking about how we could possibly open some of the team sports, soccer as an example, later on in the summertime. We need to get some balance, some exercise back in our program or into our lives for the young children moving ahead. So as this becomes a possibility, we'll start opening them up. We're meeting with the amateur coach association for the country to see what their recommendations, and working out some plan. So maybe not business as usual, but trying to get our children back engaged, and summer camps, our minor sports, something that we're looking to try to open up as quickly as we can.
Excellent. Well, on that note, MPP, thank you so much for joining me for this update, and we'll continue to cover closely the provincial response to COVID-19.
Thank you, and of course, remind everybody, to stay home, practice social distancing, and stay safe.
Thank you, MPP.